Real progress in sketching and painting doesn't come from a fancy new pen or some beautiful new colours. It comes from working on and perhaps even mastering a few core skills. Now in this video, I want to show you what I think the 5 most important skills are, especially for that looser, more airy sketching style. I want to show you what they are, how to work on them, and how to do that without losing the fun. This is all about doing sketching to get better at sketching, not about drawing a million boxes to eventually start having a bit of fun on the page later. And as well as the skills you might be expecting, there's a couple, especially the last one, which I think are really important and really undervalued. So let's start with the foundation of art, simplification. Sketching, drawing, and even painting is all about selecting out the details. And to do that, we need to be able to see like an artist. Seeing like an artist is not actually that complicated, although it takes a bit of practice. And most artists will tell you they see in shapes. Now, shapes are nothing crazy. You did them at school. Triangles, circles, squares. We also have those shapes where we can't quite name them, or they might look like a kidney bean or the Great Pyramids. As long as we can visualize in our head something simple, we can get it on the page. Simplifying down to shapes makes your art stronger. It gives it a better structure, and it allows you to build on that brilliant structure to create all the detail and complexity that you would like to later. Instead of starting on something wobbly and loose and getting worse and worse, it starts strong and simple, and it can go in whatever direction you like. Now, what I see many people doing who struggle with this is always diving into their scene first. And it doesn't take long to take a step back and do a couple of quick thumbnails. Those little thumbnails are where we can really explore a scene. We can look for our shapes and we can work out the ones which work for us. And we can hyper simplify at this point because it's not the finished piece. So we're not worried if it looks too childlike or something like that. When we've done a thumbnail, which might take us a minute, it might take us 2 or 3, we're not losing time, we're gaining it. Because actually, having done this already, you'll find your actual big piece, your finished piece, or your next piece goes much quicker, much more effectively, and you can build on it far more easily as well. One of my absolute favourite ways of doing this is to limit myself to a number of lines or shapes. For example, we can take a scene and say, right, how do we make this scene exist on the page, but only get 5 shapes to do it? Remember, with the idea of shapes, it's about being able to get complexity onto the page and then build up. Yes, it looks simple now, but as we develop the next couple of skills I'm going to talk to you about, that's where we start adding the interest and the complexity. Skill number 2. Variety in our ink. If every line looks the same in your sketch or in your drawing, then the sketch will look flat, because a simple line, a flat line, tells us nothing, especially if it's not different from any of the other lines. Now, a really simple concept to hold in your head as you draw your lines is the idea of taking your line for a walk. Your line doesn't need to be a single rigid structure. It can incorporate multiple shapes and textures. So from this single line, we have grass on the left, we have a tree, a small bench, a man walking along, and a hedge, all from one line. Coming back, you can enhance some of the structure and play with these ideas, and don't worry, that's all stuff coming up later in this video, but the starting point is a wandering line. We can vary the weight of the line. It can be heavier or lighter, and we can do this in 2 ways. Either literally pressing harder and going slower with the pen we have, or we can use more than one pen, which can create much more dramatic variety. This simple change in weight gives us information about how heavy an object is. Bolder objects feel heavier, or how close or distant objects are. Bolder lines feel like they are right in front of us, whereas weak lines feel like they're a long way away. Beyond that, we can get into character of the line, imparting texture. A simple circle looks like a circle. A fluffy circle is a tennis ball. so much more interesting with such a small change. A circle which we then break down into smaller shapes with texture becomes a beautiful flower. But it's only through seeing those initial shapes and then adding the detail that we can always consistently do this and make things interesting. To take this idea further, see how many different objects you can make by varying the textures and weight of your lines, but fundamentally just using a circle. As an extra idea, here's a fried egg. Now, my favourite way of working on this is again to take our idea of a simple thumbnail, but this time we start with our very simple shapes and we progress through a series of different versions of the same sketch, where each time we try and add something new to the scene. We might change the weight of the lines in one and see how that changes the depth of the image. We might make our lines really loose and scratchy. We might add lots of interest through textures. All of these things are just adding variation to the line work, and it can be pretty astonishing how interesting things can become. As you build up confidence in these ideas, start to make things more purposeful. This scene we already looked at have a bit of depth with bold and light lines, but if we look at the different trees, the different bushes, the different bricks, it can come alive. That boldness that we looked at already, that can be part of the texture. These funny bricks on the left on top of the wall, for example, have got deep shadows underneath, and we can enhance those, giving us depth, texture and life. And that takes us onto our next skill. Loose watercolours. Now, loose watercolours, I think, should bring the scene to life, but not fight over the structure. You've already worked so hard on your shapes and interesting lines that it's a shame to then come in with really opaque, busy colours, which takes away all that beautiful simplicity that you've been cultivating through the last few minutes. So instead, we let our loose colours wash over the scene, not fill the lines, not fill the shapes. That loose wash, leaving space, again, it adds interest, but it doesn't do too much. A great place to start understanding loose colours is through a series of studies of skies. Now, in skies, we have a flowing mass of whites and blues, yellows and reds. And what we can do is take our brush, loads of water, and just try things out. Try doing a sky in just 1 or 2 brush strokes with an enormous brush. See what it feels like. Try splattering the sky and then joining things together and seeing that randomness actually can create a lot of interest on the page, even when you can't control it. And then try wet on wet. Pre-wet the page and drop colours in. This time we're sort of controlling what's happening, but we're letting the colours also have a little mind of their own. Within that, some things won't work and some things will, but hopefully you'll start to see the magic which can happen when you loosen up your colours. And as you play with these ideas, you'll start to understand how the colours really work when you let them. Now, as part of my sort of January series of videos this month, I'm going to bring out a video about mistakes I see beginners make in watercolours. So perhaps look out for that, because in that we'll cover the ideas which I see going wrong most often. The key though, the sort of short version of that video, is use a big brush, plenty of water, and leave plenty of space on the page. And then you will not have overdone it. And if you haven't overdone it, you can add more. If you have overdone it, you've overdone it, and that's where we're at. By the way, if you are new to ink and watercolours, then I do have a course, Ink and Watercolours for Beginners, all about these kind of ideas. In fact, the 5 ideas I'm talking you through today are the 5 workshops of that course. Each workshop has multiple videos which will guide you through how to improve each of these skills with fun, interesting sketches, not through dull, repetitive exercises. Most importantly, you're not there alone. Loads of other people sketching and sharing their art, and also myself coming back and reviewing literally every post and every question which is asked in that course to give you feedback and ideas for improvement. If you're not sure about that, there's also the free course linked down below, which will give you a little intro. And if you do want to join the beginners course, then just use January 15 to get 15% off this month. All right, let's talk now about perspective. Because I think this is a really key thing to understand, not to master, but to understand as a beginner. There's two things to understand. One, the basic rules of perspective. That is things like the horizon line, vanishing points, and the lines of perspective. All of those I cover in another video, so I'm going to link that down below and not bore you with it now. The other thing to understand about perspective is it really doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because what kills off interesting loose sketching are really bold, dull, rigid lines which have forgotten all of those ideas from varying our ink. And what can happen is people think, must be right, draw this bold, rigid line across the page, and it tells you nothing about what that line means, and it looks like a child's drawing instead of your wonderful art. Whereas your wonderful art with some errors in perspective would have been so much more interesting. Right, enough on that. The final one, the most important one, I think, in developing yourself as an artist. Everyone loves focusing on what pen am I using, how am I using my pen, what brush am I using, how am I using my colours, and no one seems to think about what decisions am I making, how am I sort of taking the reference and just doing things to it to make my version of the art. We're not trying to copy photos here, we're using them as a reference. A reference is something we refer to when creating our scene. So for me, I love making big, bold decisions about moving those shapes around the page to make the composition more interesting. You don't have to draw the whole scene, you can crop in to make something more interesting for you. If you see a good photo, they've probably changed the colours in Photoshop. All of these things aren't just okay in painting, they're okay in photography. So start making some decisions. Now, bravery, decision making, all comes from making mistakes as well and putting yourself in situations where you can make mistakes. So one of my favourite things, and if you go back on my channel, you'll see in the last couple of years I did loads of timed sketches, and that is how I learned what was important to me. If you time yourself for 10 minutes to get a drawing on the page, you will have to simplify. You will have to work out how to make your ink interesting so that it says more in less time. You won't be able to fill the page with colours. You'll have to do that loose wash because opaque colours will just sit on the page and basically ruin it. And in all of that, what we're doing is we are discovering, well, I focused on that because I found it interesting. This bit of magic worked, which I wouldn't have done if I had had any time to think about it. I would have overthought it. So I can use this bit of magic again. So there you go, 5 simple techniques, the exact techniques I cover in my beginner's course, if you want to learn more about them. And don't forget, you can get that 15% off with January 15 as a coupon code. I'm sure though, that these are my opinions, so I would love to hear from you. What's a really important skill or idea which I haven't mentioned? If you enjoy my videos, please do like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And I often pop up slightly longer versions or slightly earlier ad-free versions of my YouTubes on Patreon. So if you want to support my channel in a different way, you can join me over there.